Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday evening frequency meditation. I'm back in Vancouver, not quite the same temperature and climate as in Ibiza, but nevertheless amazing. Fall in Vancouver is incredible. The leaves, the colors, the expressions that nature has in this decay mode, which most people think decay is always a negative thing. But decay, once you get under the fabric of the decay process, you see the beauty and what it has to offer before entering that death space. This week, talking about death space, this week what came across my radar was a discussion on life reviews and what happens when you die and you have a life review. And generally the paradigm out there is that it's really there to show you all the things you got wrong, the mistakes, the incompletions, and a real system of judgment. I don't receive that when I tap into life reviews and when I've experienced my own life reviews through near-death experiences. So why don't we go into a meditation and see if we can go a little bit deeper and find a higher meaning to what a life review is meant to be for us, if in fact that is what we undergo once we pass. I don't know. Let's find out in the meditation. And with that, I'll see you all next week. So let's just start. Let's notice ourselves. Notice the environment around you, around your body. And then noticing you in your body, where your skin stops and all your inner workings. And taking a deep breath to a count of 4. Holding that breath to a count of 4. And then releasing through the mouth to a count of 4. Whenever I say take a breath in, if you can do it in your own count, there's nothing magical about 4, but just do it so it's disciplined, those 3 movements, breathing in, holding, and exhaling. And as we really come into our body, which means noticing with the mind's eye, with our imagination being one of our superpowers, just observing you, however you define that, residing within this physical body of ours, not outside, not in a future moment, not in a past moment, but just within our body in this present moment. So as we take another deep breath in, we settle in here, right now. Bringing in these frequencies from nature that are perfectly still, perfectly present. And unlike us humans, perfectly well defined, knowing exactly what it is and exactly what it is not. A tree is a tree, it knows it's a tree, it doesn't think it's a rock. Taking another breath in. So as we bring in these frequencies that just by our thought, it's how powerful we are as humans. These frequencies help align us, center us, bring in the stillness. And as a result of that, we're in a clearer position in space and time. We're in a clearer, more centered position with our timeless self, our higher self, our spirit, whatever you wish to call it. So the light shines brighter on us, clearer on us. There's less shadows, distortions. So just by merely thinking about these pure frequencies from the core of the earth, it responds by bringing us to this more precise place in time and space. And as we breathe in, and this time let's breathe in these frequencies from the Earth's core, these pure frequencies going right up through our body, right to the top of our head, to our crown, centering us, grounding us, defining us. Bringing more clarity to what we are, and letting our timeless self then expose to us these distortions, filters, blind spots of who we're really not, but we think we are. And letting these frequencies calm you, quieten the mind. Just noticing how you're feeling, how you've shifted, not through the mind or thinking or suggestions, but you've shifted in space and time to a better position, and as a result, we get to experience the stillness and the well-being that we get to feel as a result of being more centered. It's like when we go into nature, we feel good. We think it's perhaps because of the exercise or the landscape, the fresh air, but it's not. We feel good because as nature is so perfectly present and in that ideal position, it pulls us into that present moment. It demands we become into a better position in space and time, and so we feel good. Taking another deep breath in. And for whatever we're doing in life, whatever challenges, expansion, healing, this is the precursor position to be in before we go out and try and change, fix, expand ourselves. Seek knowledge from higher realms. The safest place to be before you engage in that is here, right now, in your body, present. It's where the most precision is in what you receive. So as we take a deep breath in, we can ask our timeless self, how can I be more centered? And how can I tap in, tune in, merge with that super intelligence of my timeless self? That super intelligence that has the precise definitions for all the concepts that are presented to us or have been presented to us in the past? Can we receive a clear definition so we can be aware of the distortions that have taken place over the thousands of years, corrupting that definition of origin? So as you take a deep breath in, it's like as you may have heard that example, tell something to a person and relay that down to 20 different people. The story, whatever you told to the first person, by the time it gets to the 20th person, is completely different. So if that can happen in such a short time with such limited amounts of different people, imagine what these concepts that we are always instructed to believe that have been around for thousands of years. Imagine the distortion that has resulted. As we take a deep breath in and just noticing your tailbone, and it's down to you how deep you want to go on these meanings, distortions, causes and effects. I'm not really interested in all of that conversation. What I am interested in is the truth. And then I'd much rather spend my energy and time and commitment and discipline to bringing those truths into this reality, this lifetime, this person. Apply it. So speaking of life reviews, those of you who have maybe not heard about life reviews, but there's a general narrative out there that when we pass in a flash, we see our whole life in front of us. The general definition that has been passed on is that this is the time we meet the baker. It's the time we see all the things we have done incorrectly, all the sins we've had, the penalties, the paybacks, the sacrifices. Another breath in, paying attention to your tailbone. So let's just see about that. If that's a definition that can come for us. There's also a lot of discussion on people who have NDEs, near-death experiences. When you do an ayahuasca ceremony, that's a near-death experience. Ayahuasca is all about the death space. You have access to clearer realms. It's like if you had an NDE, you have physical act that has you disconnect for certain minutes. What it is that you're on your way to passing over. So you start to receive knowledge outside of this fourth dimension that we're in. But then you come back. Most of the time people can recall the memory from that near-death experiences, but they can't recall the expression of it. It does alter their perspective. But it's also tainted with their own filters and distortions, programs. As we all, each and every one of us, have our own unique combination of filters that make up our frequency signature. So taking another deep breath in as we bring a little bit more proximity to that ideal position in space and time, so we can, like a near-death experience, tune in to these pockets of consciousness and receive a much higher value definition on whatever we seek. So our life review. Well, this distorted definition of what a life review is actually quite far down the line from more potent distortions that affected that. So let's go there. Taking a breath in, noticing the tailbone, noticing the crown on top of your head, and that line that goes from the tailbone right up to the crown, and then from the crown right down to the tailbone. This distortion of separateness from our timeless self. This distortion, there's a third party that we need to go through to get to what some refer to as God. This great awakening we're all experiencing these past years, which will get stronger, swifter, more precise, has all been about deleting these old paradigms that have influenced us for so many thousands of years, and coming back to our origin. Coming back to, as I mentioned before, that initial definition. Separation from your timeless self, spirit, was never part of the initial definition. Most people pray like a slave, hoping, but doubting that they will if only could receive a crumb of mercy from their timeless self. But again, doubting, thinking, no, I won't. Having that victim mentality, having that powerless mentality. That has been a distortion, as there is nothing separate from ourselves in this time-bound physical being. With our timeless, limitless, infinite being, that expression being the drop in the ocean. But actually it goes much deeper than that. That drop is a reflection of the ocean. We are a reflection of our timeless self. We're a fractal of the whole. Just quite an amazing feat to perform, to be able to come from the whole and become a fractal, yet containing, accessing everything from the whole. We've come from everything, and through the deselection process, we've funneled ourselves into a definition of who we are here. If you're poor, you have deselected that frequency of abundance, of creating wealth. If you are in bad health, you have deselected that option of being in perfect health. If you are a man, you have deselected that option of being a woman. If you have brown hair, you have deselected all of the other options of all the other colors and textures of hair, and on it goes. So we've come from the whole, and through our free will, not conscious, through our free will, we have deselected all of the options of possibilities into a finite identity here. As we breathe in, hence we're in this fractal existence. But what if we could expand that definition to really understand what it means to be a part of the whole? Instead of perceiving it as something that is less than, not complete, lacking. What if we could bring awareness as we breathe in, again, focusing on that line from the crown to the tailbone. What if we could have the perspective from the whole, viewing the fractal, and gaining that awareness that in fact, we are from the whole. We are complete. And although we have chosen to deselect so we can define ourselves here, we also have the power to reselect anything we wish and to also deselect things that we already are but no longer find to our benefit. This is a little complicated for some of you, don't worry. Your mind will catch up later. So another deep breath in from the core of the earth, just really acknowledging these pure frequencies that align us, bring us into this harmony with the whole. So we can receive with less filters, distortions, on the truth of a life
review, as mentioning, that's really just a ripple effect from the initial distortion of separateness. So a life review of your creator judging you, condemning you. This concept is very strong for people. It affects their perspective of death. It creates an enormous amount of anxiety and fear about death. Because, of course, their creator is just waiting and ready to judge them, condemn them. But perhaps if we go back to the initial distortions of coming from the whole to a fractional, and we redefine that with integrity. We can see, in fact, that we are complete. We are the whole. We have access to all. And there is no separation. It's just we haven't been that good at selecting and deselecting our programs. But that's why we're here. That's the evolutionary process, is to keep advancing, mastering how we create ourselves here in density from spirit. Another breath in. So let's look at this life review, which is filled of judgment, separation from our timeless self. In fact, there is a life review, but it's anything but based on judgment. It's there to show you how everything, every millisecond that has been experienced in this lifetime has been done so with perfect synchronicity, perfect harmony from your timeless self, all there guiding you. So in fact, you can have that perspective that you're not incomplete. You are complete, and you are very, very much part of the whole with no separation. It's like, how can your hand be separate from your body? It can look different, but it's part of your body. And in that review, you consolidate all these distortions that have presented itself during your lifetime. So you can disconnect. And that's really what passing is. It's an amazing promotion to be able to take all the distortions that we haven't been able to disconnect in this lifetime, and we get to reset. So as we take a deep breath in, and merging ourselves with these frequencies from Earth, aligning us so we can have a more concise definition of a life review, and ultimately of our relationship with our timeless self, or the relationship we perceive we have with our timeless self, and to go deeper and to see how distorted is that. From my own experience, which is really all I can pass on to you, is, if you like, on the other side, there's no judgment. There's not even a definition of judgment. There's no duality. If there's no duality, it's literally impossible for there to be a definition of judgment. That expression, it takes two to tango. So take a breath in. And for those of you who want to go deeper, you can stay. As long as you're in this space, you still are exposed to the frequencies that have been generated. And ask your timeless self for more clarity. And as you receive awareness on this separation or this judgment, these distortions, ask your timeless self for the definition that came from origin before it was so corrupted over the decades, the thousands of years, through humankind. And with all of this, it's not that we got it wrong or we're getting it wrong. This is why we're here, to remember the brilliance that we are, the power, the empowerment that we have, and that absolute perfection of unity with the whole. For those of you who do not wish to go deeper, to spatial reference, use the 5 senses to come back here. And with that, I'll see you all next week.